Shura broke out a few years back with the single Touch, which then led on to the debut album in 2016. It doesn't actually feel that long since it came out, but that is quite a while now. She has a bit of an 80s throwback style to her brand of pop music, and Forevher is the sophomore album, and I would say it's an improvement on the debut. That 80s throwback that I was talking about was definitely a huge hindrance to the debut because it just made everything sound like a bit of an homage to the 80s, really. Aside from a couple of tracks like Touch, which is great, but other than that, it didn't really grip me or give me much of a sense of who Shura was as a singer and where her identity lied. That isn't too much of an issue on this new album here, though, because a lot of the songs have some really good tunes to them. And yeah, sure, that Sophisti-Pop style, that synth-pop 80s sound is definitely still there, but I feel as though Shura is finally starting to come into her own. The performances on Side Effects and Religion are very, very good. I mean, the vocals here, I think, are just very whispery and airy, and there's some really nice melodies going on in the instrumentals too. On some of these tracks, Shura does fall a bit into the background with these instrumentals, I must admit, but on these two tracks in particular, I feel as though she comes through and really, really shines. I will say that it's pretty important to note that it's not the most original music that you're getting here. I do feel as though there is still some growth from Shura, but I think this is going in the right direction. Lyrically, I do feel like some tracks fall a little short, to be honest, like Princess Leia. There's sort of a theme going on here, but I just really find it hard to grip onto something that's noteworthy. And songs like Forevher are just pretty standard relationship type tracks about being in love and staying with that person forever, whatever that even means. It's very typical, and I guess it does match the typical sound of the song, so it's not exactly the worst thing in the world, but it doesn't really entertain me all that much. But that closing track though is a fantastic end to the album. In fact, there's a nice little 1-2 at the end with the penultimate track too. Like, these are some really, really great tracks, and they run for like 5 minutes too. And Shura manages to keep me interested for the whole runtime of both songs. There's a lovely little funky guitar groove on the track Control, and again, her vocal performance, being as wispy and airy as it is, does really work for the instrumentation here. And the closing track as well, which is by far one of the best here, just reminds me totally of something that would come out of Moon Safari by the band Air from the 90s. It just has such a soothing sound to it, and I think this is the style that she kills the best on the album, to be honest. Because at times she's aiming for something sensual with her vocals, and I just don't really feel like she's quite reaching that point. She's definitely on her way, but she doesn't really quite sell it in the ways I'm hoping she does. Because at times it can just fall into the background a little bit, doesn't really grip me in the ways that I want it to, but she's definitely on her way to putting out something great, because this is an improvement, I think, on the debut. Certainly worth your time if you haven't checked out her music yet. And yeah, I think this is solid overall. I think a 6.5 out of 10 is fair from me. If you have heard this already, do let me know what you think of the album, and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Comment, let me know what you think. Have a good day, and goodbye.